Hello and welcome everyone. My name is Søren Kold and I'm heading up People Analytics in Grundfos. I've been in the role for 2 years now, developing and driving people analytics initiatives in Grundfos. And prior to my current role, I was 11 years in an analytics and consultancy company called Anova that focuses on employee engagement and customer experience. Here I had the role as head of analytics, working on business development and also acting as lead consultant on all people analytics projects with clients. My current workplace, Grundfos, may be known by some of you. We are one of the world's leading pump manufacturers, and in the Grundfos family, we have currently 83 companies, and we are directly accessible in 56 countries. In total, we are approximately 19,000 employees worldwide. The journey that we've been on in Grundfos is most likely similar to many other companies. I believe that the COVID-19 caused challenges, and the experience of an overnight change called for us for action and continuous insights to lead. As many others, we also had to adjust to new ways of working, new customer journeys, and I think in general new touch points for many in and outside our company. So as the virus spread initially from China to Europe, the company was affected more and more. From mid-March, most countries were in lockdown and only allowing business-critical operations to run. Most work were done working in new working environments, and people were also only working with as few colleagues as possible. So one of the biggest challenges we had, or I think in any crisis response scenario, is prioritization. So with so many fires to extinguish, I think it's hard to know where to focus the organization's resources. Part of that journey, I believe, is also around employee data, and I believe that it's a critical part of that decision-making process. I think that effective HR professionals should not only tackle the current situation, but also, you can say, have half an eye on the horizon. So that meaning implementing strategies to ensure that company is out of the blocks as quickly as possible. And I think the COVID-19 pandemic have accelerated how companies and especially HR has to act faster with more and new insights to be revealed. And I believe people analytics can be a tremendous help here. In Grundfos, we believe in the value of people. Isn't it so that that's the same way in most companies? The people affect how well the business is doing. At least we believe so in our case. So seen from a financial point of view, the biggest investment in the company is in the people. And when you have invested in something, you would also like to protect and nurture that investment to reap its full potential. So we believe that people thriving in our organization is good business. So if we have good employee experiences and high engagement in the organization, we know that it will affect our customers' satisfaction, which will affect our customers' loyalty and ultimately affect our bottom line. We also know that good employee experiences and high engagement will increase the quality of our products. It will lead to higher productivity and more and better innovation. And at the same time, it will lower absence from the workplace and people's willingness to quit the company. And all of that affects our bottom line. So to know how your employees and managers felt through this difficult times from the beginning of the pandemic to when the situation changed to, you can say, a new normal, we initiated a listening strategy. And throughout the beginning, the worst month of the pandemic in the Western world, we conducted 5 surveys over a 2-month period. And for every round of data collection, it was open for 1 week. And each time we invited our approximately 10,000 white-collar employees to answer. In our surveys, we covered all our 56 countries. And we basically asked 2 key questions, plus a few on people's background. But one close-scale question on how people felt and had been feeling for the past week, and a second open question allowing people in free text to explain why they felt like they did. We had an average response rate of approximately 60%, which we find very, very good in the circumstances. And finally, on average, approximately 4,000 open answers were received, which is roughly equal to 2/3 making a comment on how they felt like they did. We processed the data using basic statistics to gain insight from this, you can say, simplistic approach, which is what you see here to the left. The development in the distribution of answers and in the average scores helped us tell the story of what was going on. And things got a little bit more advanced when using text analytics to uncover the most prominent themes through topic modeling on the open comments. So over time, we could see how topics developed as the situation for the workforce changed. Over the 2-month period, we found people to talk mostly about the pandemic situation itself, their contact to customers and colleagues, the work situation, and eventually, as people learned to cope with the new situation, they started to look ahead and discussed the new normal and coming back to that. We translated comments from local language to English, and through natural language processing techniques, weights were assigned to keywords to describe the affiliation with different topics. And through this approach, we could also gauge how many distinct topics were in our data, and by that, identifying the most important words enable us to give a headline describing each topic. So to confirm our findings from the algorithms, you can say, we also read through samples of comments afterwards to verify the topic headlines that we decided upon. In general, people are talking more about only one topic when they reveal how they felt like they did. So even though that a single person would oftentimes discuss more than one topic, we tried to focus on the one he or she talked mostly about. The topics we found to be talked mostly about were aligned to people's how you're feeling rating, and that showed actually clear and significant relationships. So we did the analysis on comments from a given data collection period, but as we did more surveys, we also pooled the data together, so all answers given in a certain data point were also used to check for consistency. So having identified which topic for each respondent he or she talked most about, and then aligning this data to how the person had answered that he or she felt, that gave us the opportunity to investigate if there were any underlying systematic in how people felt, and if we could gain insights on how to approach different problems through communication or specific interventions in the company. So the results were pretty clear. There were both significant differences between how people felt based on what topics they discussed the most, but also significant differences over time. And the ranking of how people felt were pretty consistently related to what they were talking about for the first 3 surveys. So being affected or having the COVID situation at the forefront of your mind was related to feeling the worst. While the ones talking about the work situation, they actually felt the best. So all things considered, this seemed like plausible results. I think we saw that as a degree of being uncertain and affected in the health crisis to having more focus on your work, which in this case, of course, was second to staying safe. But from The third survey, the topic of returning to a new normal and the uncertainty of how that new normal would look like, seemed to have negative impact on people. So what we saw was a change away from talking about the pandemic, as there was much more clarity around this at this point in time, to being occupied with what the future would hold. At the same time, we also noticed an increase in the share of comments that reflected on the work situation, and that was increasingly associated with a better feeling. And in the final fifth survey, that continued to underline the relationship between what people talked about and how they felt. There's a tendency that the COVID-19 situation and the back to new normal pulls in a negative direction here. Though we weren't able to prove this trend to be statistically significant. It was a smaller group of people that felt this way and talked about those themes at this point in time. But nonetheless, very important information for us because it may have indicated a tipping point. The perspectives we laid down on this was that now people want to get rid of the COVID situation and they really want to settle better in the new normal. And being hard hit by the pandemic, whether it's yourself or someone close to you, I think simply being in that state of mind where it could be hard to see how this will end could be associated with a decrease in how you felt. And you really want this to end, so it hasn't ended yet. And as we can see, that could probably also align to a beginning of feeling less well when talking about the new normal, the uncertainty of what that would bring. So to sum up our results, the surveys we conducted revealed incremental positive changes. We saw movement in the responses and more people continued to answer in the higher end of the scale, indicating that they felt better and better, but still not great. The results also reflecting that people coped well with the impact from the new work situation, and when we saw a shift in comments, we could adjust communication and try to impact from leaders to employees. Combining the insights from the average scores on how people felt and the story from the underlying distribution and movement in answers, again combined with the insight from our text analytics, the 5 surveys were followed up by overall communication, summing up all the results together with the group management's reflections. And broad communication was posted in articles on our global intranet and different communications platforms. The analytics and reporting to group management, we were able to do that in only one day after completing the data collection. And from the beginning or the following day, the overall communication began. In addition to this, virtual town halls were held with group management and senior leaders communicating how the company approached the situation and addressing hot topics. And then finally, all managers communicated to the teams and checked in with the employees in one-to-one meetings. So to keep the personal touch and alignment with the employees and not to leave anyone out. I believe that the focus on employee experience and employee engagement also requires paying attention to all levels of employee needs. So if you look up and down in the Maslow hierarchy, it also requires addressing both the basic needs for safety and retaining jobs as much as encouraging professional growth through the time of a crisis, whether working from home or in the office. And with this approach, I think we were successful, and in spite of the COVID situation, we actually came out of those first months in a better shape than if we hadn't been able to build communication and interaction on these insights. Recently, a Harvard Business Review article came out stating that remote managers are having trust issues. The survey suggests that many managers show low confidence in their capability to lead remotely, and they report distrust in their own workers. They generally have a negative view on this way of working, and managers generally demonstrate a low belief in their ability to manage remote workers. In line with this, workers also report a high level of monitoring and a strong sense that the supervisors do not trust their ability to do the work. And in addition, they reported that they felt a need to be constantly available. And this interferes with the work and home balance. So based on this research, the authors propose 5 recommendations as to developing the manager's skills in managing remote workers, as you can see here on the slide. I think this is an important article and also an important survey. So remote working will be a new normal, and our leaders must master the skill of managing remote workers. The recommendations are worth taking seriously, I believe. And so far, the results in our company shows that communication, understanding people's needs, and ability to give something back quickly when you ask people for input have proved to be a fruitful strategy. So, if you look at the internal perspectives, we learned quite a few important things besides managing the workforce through the crisis. So comparing results from the 5 surveys show that people in Grundfos are feeling significantly better from the first to the last surveys. And that actually also held true for all our CXO areas. So it wasn't just in one part of the company, but across all the company. And we believe that enabling strong leadership based on insights have helped this progression. The COVID situation was also a bigger topic in the beginning, and as I stated, the 5th survey only half as many as the most had the COVID-19 as the most discussed topic. I think from mid-May we saw an overall increase in talking about the new normal as well as the work situation. And finally, I think the COVID changes also brought new perspectives on how we are able to do our work. The results indicate that even with a changed work situation that has brought uncertainty, people also seem to gradually find the positive in new ways of working. And the future may not have to be an either-or situation, working from home or on-site, but maybe instead be a both-and situation where possible. So results support that flexibility of working remotely and on-site is associated with a better feeling. When listening to the external perspectives, we can also see some significant findings from other organizations doing people analytics and from external and published studies. We know that employee motivation and in the COVID-19 crisis has increased. So if top management are doing well in communicating and being visible, so to have an impact, you need to communicate with the right timing. The motivation also increased if there was a strong virtual leadership and the ability to show care and empathy for employees, but also if this is used to provide guidance and direction to be productive. So I believe successful organizations experience an increase in people's willingness to recommend their respective workplaces during this crisis if they have had strong top management and great virtual leadership. The work-life balance is challenged mostly for employees working from home, but it's not yet perceived critically. That's also findings from our own company. The question is, when are you actually off work when you're working from home? And I think that is something that we need to be constantly aware of going forward. Being in a pandemic and uncertain times, of course, the feeling of job security for most people's, also in different companies, are affected negatively. meaning that the people that are feeling more insecure in spite of higher motivational levels. So when looking at employee productivity, a study from Perceptex showed that that most white collars are not all affected negatively when it comes to productivity, and actually only 11% of white collars feel that their productivity has been impacted negatively to a large extent. Looking a bit towards what we have for a period of time now called the future of work, I think most white collars used to work only in the physical workplace, and according to studies, around 30% only want to have this situation post COVID-19. So the desire of working on site or remotely can maybe be explained with also with a feeling of being more safe. At least that's something we need to still look into. I think also that most white collars, and that's also the case in our company, would like the flexibility of working both physically from the workplace and from home post COVID-19. And finally, I've also seen studies suggesting that close to 2 times more people would like to only work from home post-COVID compared to the situation before COVID-19. If you voluntarily ignore science and scientific facts in the year 2020, you end up suggesting to people that they should ingest household products to get rid of the virus. Not a smart idea. You and everyone for whom you're responsible will pay the price. As the quote here suggests, you don't need to be in people analytics to argue that listening to insights will create better decisions. You may very well be doing damage if you as a leader don't leverage insights from your advisors. And it has happened for leaders at the highest level, in this case, the guy leading the United States of America. But really, no matter at what level, everyone you're responsible for, be it an entire company or a group of employees, will pay the price. And the smart thing to do in 2020 is to pay attention to science and facts, and that includes people analytics. A study done by the HR Analytics think tank shows the value of people analytics has increased during the COVID-19 pandemic. If you look to the left, more often people analytics functions have been used, but the study also suggests that it's still not to its full potential. I think the HR function is oftentimes referred to as soft, but powered by people analytics. The COVID-19 is proving that the majority of global HR chiefs are anything but. The coronavirus outbreak will also serve as you can say a not so gentle reminder to organizations everywhere just how mission critical the HR department really is. If you look to the right, you can also see the most used disciplines from the HR analytics or people analytics departments, and a lot of reporting has been done, a lot of descriptive analytics has been done, not so much more predictive or prescriptive analytics has been done, but I still believe that can you get to that point, you can also enable your organization to make better decisions, because you can state something about how the future would likely seem. So in this presentation, I have mainly touched upon continuous listening, But there's of course a long list of how to gain and apply insights in your organizations. And I believe that the COVID situation has taken us a massive step closer to what we previously called the future of work. And for that, companies will be needing new strategies for recruitment, new leadership strategies, as already discussed, new skills, and that calls for strategic and operational workforce planning. So they are all areas where people analytics can be an enormous help. Also, another emerging area of people analytics that can assist in prioritization in times where that is needed, that is organizational network analysis. Some is done by surveying the organization, other ONAs is done by using calendar, email, instant messaging, sociometric badges and knowledge sharing application data to identify the most connected and you can say socially influential employees in the company. And these network maps, they can effectively act as, you can say, cheat sheets in a crisis by revealing which employees you need to prioritize when cascading information and implementing policies at speed and scale. So the 2-month journey in Grundfos reassured us of how important strong leadership is, and that it can be difficult to lead without insights, to trust. And I think we simply need insights to make better decisions. And in times of change, you need those insights fast to be able to navigate efficiently and effectively. Listening to your employees is worthwhile, and since they are more often than not in the beginning of your value chain, and the future is already here. The COVID-19 pandemic has changed the way we work, but it has also speeded up our ability to work with technology, and this has created new demands from both the workforce but also our customers. So finally, if there's a bittersweet gain from this pandemic, it is that people analytics in many places were propelled into driving more value at a faster pace, and you can say as such, data-driven HR has a stronger foundation for the future. Thank you for listening. I'm happy to take questions and answer, but otherwise feel free to connect with me on social media or via email. Thanks a lot.